Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions, each new update that shit worsens. Why? Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And what is going on, everybody? So welcome to the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Eagles. Right now, a preview going into Super Bowl 57 this coming Sunday. Before we get into it, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you ring that notification bell so you guys will not miss any of the new content coming to the channel. And speaking, bring up another guest, and obviously Tanner from Whiskey Sports. What's good, my dude?
What's going on?
Not much.
Nah.
It's been a hot minute. I've done, well, let's be all year. Have not done one of these. So, because it's been one hell of a year, I would say.
Yeah, I would say, like for you, right? You already had the Phillies happen.
Mm-hmm.
That having that kind of dramatic.
And then we have this again in the last.
Now you're in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, night in 5 years' time. You know, I mean, it's just like it's crazy because people and it's still going to say the same thing. Like, no matter how much success we have, we're always going to find a way to get hated on. It's been like that. It's been like that for years, and we thrive off of that. But
I mean, look what New England, right? New England was hated on for how long? Because they're always back there, right? So
yeah.
If you're hated on, normally you're winning because you're hated on.
Yeah, because I guess people just don't like winning. So I mean, but
yeah.
First thing I want to kind of talk about. How about Mahomes and Hurts making history? Two African-American quarterbacks in this sport making Super Bowl history because of that. So kind of give your thoughts on that a little bit.
Kind of blew my mind when I heard this because I really thought I'm not thinking back then, but I guess it has, we haven't had this before in this kind of history, and it's kind of a breakthrough, and also having we had Cam Newton and Peyton Manning for so long, a running quarterback getting in, right? Kind of a guy that scrambles.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got two guys that can scramble at any moment. One's on a bum ankle still, but they could still scramble. And the way they led their teams, and the way they lead themselves, are just great examples of this. What you want on a team. So, look, I think it's phenomenal that we're having this to making history in 2022-23 season, and this can only lead to, I think, more good things. So
Absolutely. And, look at the Chiefs, I remember the longest time, they've just been, how do I put this? Terrible before Patrick Mahomes. I remember just like how terrible really were and on towards that. But speaking of my other buddy coming in, another Eagles fan as well. So what's good, Tyler? Tyler, you get over there?
Yep, I'm good.
Well, yeah, Tyler, let me get your thoughts on that. Mahomes and Jalen Hurts making an NFL history, two black quarterbacks. And let's be real, in I would say predominantly white sport. I mean, it's been hit and miss a little bit. Quarterback wise,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
It's always been the quarterback position that's always been overlooked when it comes to black quarterbacks, because a lot of these coaches just want white quarterbacks, and they're like, as soon as they draft a black quarterback, it's like, change your position every single time.
it's
And that's
pocket
that's
passer
why
versus
it's
scrambler, right?
yeah. You have Jalen Hurts, and a lot of the times, like you just said, they're scramblers. Jalen Hurts, a scrambler. Patrick Mahomes, a scrambler. But what these coaches don't realize, both guys can throw the ball. So
Correct.
it's just like, it's amazing. It is amazing that both their talents are being able to be showcased in this high of a pedestal. So I think it's awesome.
It really is. And and Tyler, you can attest to too. We remember the before Patrick Mahomes got to Kansas City, that team was just, I wouldn't say trash, but they just been very below average. And even with they had some good talent. Just overall, when you look at the product on the field, it's like, really? But it also
It wasn't just that too. Like, every single time that they were like in the playoffs, they were always getting bounced out of the divisional round every single year.
We didn't win a
It
playoff
wasn't
game
until
from like 91 to 2016 or 17 when Alex Smith won it.
oh my god.
And that stretch too was also the reason why they needed a quarterback bad. But before Patrick Mahomes even got there, and when they had Alex Smith, they were always in that divisional round, and they always could not get over that hump. After they got Patrick Mahomes, here they come. Here they come. Here comes the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl against Brady. Well, they didn't win against Brady. I forgot who they beat.
Well,
they beat the
They got Smuller, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But they won the Super Bowl. They've been to 3 of them already.
Yeah.
Like,
5 AFC championships in 5 years. Like,
exactly. They've been one of the powerhouses.
Let's be real. The AFC West has been
Yeah, but they've been one of the powerhouses in the AFC, and it's been awesome to see, because they finally got a quarterback. They finally found some success beyond the divisional round. They've been one of the, this is why I'm not saying that we're the clear-cut favorites in this, because we could very well get beat, because this Chiefs team is a powerhouse.
I don't think there is a clear-cut favorite in this game.
No,
it really is.
I actually, it's surprising. I looked at the money line. No teams are clear-cut favorites. It's been very close in terms of if you're betting on this game. I've seen this been close, but like
that line to go down too, because the Chiefs finally got everybody to practice. So the 3 guys we were missing all cleared up and got practice today. So
isn't? Let me ask you this: is this still Snead dealing with concussion, or did he go through the?
He finished the concussion protocol last night. So actually, during my show, towards the end of it for the Buffoon and Botkins, there it was on Twitter, cleared, ready to go, gonna play. So,
I like I said, I'm not like a huge hater on the Chiefs, because number one, because of Andy Reid, because like we still have a soft spot for Andy Reid. But
I feel like you have to, right? Almost.
it's been very hard not to hate against him because of Andy Reid, because the one reason why we got rid of Andy Reid because of time management, which, well, let's be real, that's been
It wasn't really time management. It was the fact that in 2012 he had completely lost that locker room.
Yeah,
wasn't it more of a he took more of a Bill O'Brien style role like he did with the Texans? Remember that? Like it was the GM and the head coach. Like if you guys just let the guy coach, like it's fine. But since he had to take the office, he was putting his decisions in a lot of different
I don't think we
areas.
ever done that with.
No,
I
I
that
don't
was
think
that was Chip Kelly.
That wasn't Andy Reid. That was Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly completely dismantled that team. I don't even want
think about it this too.
go back
McCoy
to
for
that.
Kiko Alonso straight up to the Buffalo Bills.
Or
is it
God.
Yeah, we've just but
we ain't gonna go that era. So.
Yeah. Most of us, we want to forget about that. But we did see McCall Hardman. I think he's still an underrated receiver. Just I don't know. It feels like health has always been an issue with him.
Yeah,
like he's just having it's just very. And Justin Ross, longtime Clemson fan, just he's another one that's been. I wouldn't say.
I mean, you knew he wasn't playing this year, so but he just great potential going for into the next year too. So
exactly and it's crazy too. Like it's funny because I've seen these delusional Chiefs fans say it's like, oh, that Pacheco's a better running back. I mean, in terms of explosiveness, yes, I think Pacheco is a better explosive back. But in terms of what we saw this season, I think Miles Sanders has him blown out of the water from the statistical standpoint. But I do think Pacheco's got to be a good, very high ceiling to be a really good, could be a 1,000-yard receiver, running back.
Yeah, with the running game there, right? Pacheco, great upside guy that wasn't really meant to do anything. That's a 6th-round pick.
And shout out to another South Jersey product too, Violent, New Jersey. You'd love to see that,
right? Yeah, I mean he runs hard, and he's starting to figure out how to hit the holes correctly, how to be able to turn up field, as you saw throughout the season. But I think Miles Sanders still has that vision, way clearer vision than Pacheco does, but there's upside, right? I mean,
the guy that was a rookie, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right?
Yeah, I have to agree there. I definitely have to agree there. I've seen a lot of tremendous upside from Pacheco this year.
I like McKinnon. I think he's another one that's a fantastic running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, it's an interesting one because I like him, but the issue what I have with him, he just does not hang on to the damn football long enough.
Doesn't get on the football, doesn't hit the correct holes, and then he gets injured all the time. As we saw this season, it was like a repeat of every single year. Like he has a hot start, right, and then he gets injured, and then he's out for like 6 weeks. This time he was out for a lot longer. Now he's finally activated. I think he has a pretty good role in the Super Bowl now that he's healthy. But look, man, there has to be something done with this.
And I could imagine the frustration that it's like. It's just like you have two good backs. It's like if you have one good third back can stay healthy. I mean, look, we've seen teams can do that. I mean, like us. I mean, we have Scott Gainwell. And Miles Sanders, I mean, like sometimes people tend to sleep on our running game because we run the ball better than anybody. Just in terms if we, and this, and like I said, and I will say this again, like people will always discredit because we can beat people, not just with what hurts his arm. We can also beat him with his legs, with the running game, or in case too, defensively, we'll just swarm you. I mean, we were we're third in the league in total sacks.
Yep.
Yeah.
But looking at the depth chart, though, I mean, I saw that Kadarius Toney, he
tends to hurt himself when he's trying to make cuts. I mean, the guy's when he's on the field, it's a different animal, right? I mean, this guy is amazing, great talent, but it's like how healthy are you making those cuts? But he's playing. He says he's playing. He came out and said it yesterday too. He goes, I'm playing. Like whether how much they use me is one thing, but I'm coming out there, and if he's on the field, you guarantee that he's
we've seen potential, but it's just like that's always that one little unlucky thing with Kadarius Toney, especially in that it's always a hamstring with him. No wonder why that pisses a lot of Giants fans off.
Because now it was the ankle, right? So this time it was the ankle.
I think it was the ankle this time. It's like, sheesh.
So, I mean, luckily we had 2 weeks, a week break. So, but it's like, man, we saw him what he did early in the season when he was out there at the Jaguars, for instance, where he essentially made some incredible plays, staying in bounds, getting the touchdown. Great, one of our top returner, right? Since Meeko's out, you got a top returner in Tony. You don't want Sky Moore returning the ball, our rookie, right? This is where
Yeah.
Tony comes important. This is why we went and out and got Tony, because he is an effective returner. Sky Moore, it can be, but he's got to catch the ball first. And let me tell you what, that punt at the very end of the Bengals Chiefs game, there
Oh,
was a lot of holding the breath, and all I was watching was here, like, just make the catch.
it's like just like it's like not just that too. It's just like look, and I think Sky Moore was a phenomenal talent in college, but it's just like I thought Marcus, I think FVS has had a really good season.
Yes.
I think you could have disagreed. I think did George Karlaftis really underperformed? I've been hearing a lot of been talking that he really underperformed in the regular season, but I think it was. I don't know.
I mean, if you're looking at sacks as in stats, right? I mean, yeah, sure, you could say he underperformed, but if you look at him as as he's progressed through the season, I ain't gonna say he underperformed or overperformed or anything. He's he kind of fit in with the playing time, but when he was on the field, he was essentially going hard and making the pressure, kind of what you need. But I'm not going to say he was spectacular by any means, but he wasn't a guy I was expecting year one to make the splash,
Yeah, it's just like there's just some rookies that they just know how to get it done. I mean, look, look at Jordan Davis, for example, who was our 13th overall or 13th 13th pick in the first round. Like, already made that impact part of that offensive line. But we also realized too where we are at with some of these guys on that part of that front four. Fletcher Cox is on a 1-year deal. Who knows? I think he might be hanging it up, or we might not have Javon Hargrave. So it's going to be interesting.
Who might be gone? Sue probably won't stick around. So but you got Jordan Davis. I wanted that guy so bad because he was just a beast, and you saw what he did this year. And when he went out for you guys, you saw the effectiveness. Yeah, there was total difference in that line of stopping the run and getting pressure on the quarterback. So I mean,
yeah.
And that was the reason. And that was the reason why we had to pick up guys like Linval Joseph and the Common Sue, because that line completely crumbled apart because we didn't have Jordan Davis, and we've seen it. We've seen that, and that was why it was crucial for us to get Linval Joseph and the Dumkin Sue, and it's been great ever since. So
yeah,
it has, yeah.
And especially not to mention, we already made our first contract extension to Jeff Stoutland, part of our, so we got a lot more.
And he's been also crucial to that coaching staff for that offensive line and the defensive line too. Like, he's a great line coach, and the fact of the matter is, without these guys, without these key pieces, we wouldn't be here.
Not just that, and if you looked at every statistical category, we'd be outside the top 5, top 10 without Jeff Stoutland, just in terms of what we have.
Yeah, because we kind of got that same way, right? So last year, all season wise, we picked up the D-line coach for the Jaguars from last year, and he's made what a tremendous turnaround that offensive line is, defensive line is from last year. So like, we're actually getting pressure on guys where schemes are better, but we're using it seems like an 8-man personnel in a way, because you have so many guys that are just rotating on and off between the D tackle and the D end and shuffling them around the line. Mike Dana is one who can play both spots, and it's a tremendous deal. What a change it was from last year. I'm on that defensive line for the Chiefs too, with that change in coaching.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm also looking at your roster. One name in particular that still stands with me. I'm surprised still in the league is Carlos Dunlap. How the hell has he been lasted longer in this league? I completely forgot about him. The only time I remember from his days was there's obviously ugly days with the Cincinnati Bengals when he still had Coach Ocho Cinco in those days.
Right.
That's just like, good Lord.
I mean, that's the guy. I knew we were going to get like the Dunlap of the Bengals days, right? He's past that prime.
Yeah.
But to have a veteran presence in there to kind of help in. I mean, we had to fill in Ingram's replacement essentially, and that's what Dunlap came to be. But he's made his certain plays that he needs to. big guy, long arms, getting the hands up when he needs to in the rush during passing plays, and it's helped. With a couple turnovers and a couple key stops. So it's more of a veteran presence having that guy in there on the team to help with the young guys like a Dana, like a Saunders, or a Karlaftis in a way.
Yeah, it was just, and that's kind of how we looked at it when we got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong who kind of help with that veteran presence as well, and just kind of help, with Jordan Davis's development, and and it's the exact same thing. It's just like, yeah, they may not, be what they were, but they've been very effective since being in here. But
yeah,
I would not be surprised if somehow Howie will find a way to keep them regardless. I mean, because we have to pay most of our guys that are on the contract years. One in particular is Jalen Hurts for sure. Especially if this kind of season that he's had, but and the fact that like us too, like we always just during like median day stuff like that, when like some reporters are asking like these looking ahead kind of questions, and it's just like we just don't worry about it. Like it's just like I feel like some teams have to realize to stop overlooking, and that kind of sometimes that kind of will bite you in the rear end. I mean, look at Dallas, for example, overlooked. Yeah, kind of really bit the bullet. And I guess you can make the same argument with the 49ers, but then again, the 49ers fan base has been kind of
they're a mess.
They're just. I thought Dallas fans were bad.
A mess, man. I tell you what, I don't want to get into it because I just want to say the whole point that you have a guy that gets you to the championship game, a few years, get through the Super Bowl, and you go bench him for a guy you wasted a bunch of draft picks for, just to essentially start him again. Whatever, like it's a mess.
Yeah, it's been like that, but like I said, the fact we have Patrick Mahomes, who, the fact is, and it's outlandish sometimes. Could be the greatest of all time. I mean, you can definitely make an argument for him, especially what he has done so far. What's been like 5 years in the league for him?
So 6 years in the league, 5 years as a starter.
Yeah. Because he was in the league since 2017, but he didn't get the start till 2018.
Correct. His first start was week 17 of the Broncos, and he got the lead. They took him out. They blew the lead, and then he had to come in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left to go win the game again. So against the Broncos, and ever since then, the Broncos have never beaten Patrick Mahomes. So.
Yes, I think the Broncos were, 0-5 against Patrick Mahomes. And when I did watch that game, it seemed to me it's just like this could be this. Even though as a long time as a general football fan, I think myself this dude could really turn around the Kansas City Chiefs because. And I've always said this too. I think I had to give a lot of credit to Alex Smith for helping developing into Patrick Mahomes. Not just Alex Smith, Andy Reid for crying out loud. The dude, I mean, you can't tell me.
Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, all those guys were part
Yeah, well, I know how Bears fans feel about Matt Nagy, but that's a whole different. And I've always said
coaching Matt Nagy, all right?
Yeah,
offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, okay.
But it's crazy enough to, like I said, the quarterback position, we always know that's been predominantly white. Like, it's just like, we've seen some black quarterbacks, start in Super Bowls. Doug Williams for the Washington Redskins. I mean, we had McNabb in 2004, but we really hadn't seen two, black quarterbacks go at it. And, it's really impressive. And you have two but I tend to people forget, Sirianni got his start in Kansas City.
Yep.
Behind Andy Reid in 2009, I think it was
around 9-10, something like in that range.
And it's just like
he got hired in 2009, and in 2013 he got fired by Andy.
Yeah, let go. Yeah, see you later.
Now
we get him. He put the dogs into the Philadelphia. Got those guys.
Before that he was talking about Flowers and all this like bullshit that he was spattering. It's just like what?
Here's the thing that cracks me up, Rob. Are you ready for this? You had Doug Peterson, who's a coordinator for the Chiefs. He gets let go. He goes to Philly. He leads them to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Here comes Nick Sirianni. He was one of the Chiefs coordinators. He gets let go. Goes to Philly. Now he's in the Super Bowl.
it just seems like Andy Reid, outside of Bill Belichick, has a really good coaching tree.
I mean,
You know,
look at this too, right? So don't forget that Matt Nagy, his first year, led that Bears team to a playoff push, to a playoff game, right? You got to remember that too. Like there was success there. Just because we remember the last 3 years of Matt Nagy, that first year he took that team into a playoff position for that too. And I don't know, it just blows my mind.
it really is. You know, I mean, it's like at the end of the day, we can all agree. All three of us can say at the end of the day, if Reid decides, if he decides to retire, say hypothetically, we all know the dude's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like
easy.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the dude's a first. I mean, but yeah, it's just like I said. I mean, I do like with the Chiefs, but I do think they could really use a number one at some point later in the future because I mean. And I think, and this is the thing too. Like, I think, well, I find when I actually found laughable, so I was like, oh, how well is Patrick Mahomes going to play without Tyreek? It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I literally face palms. Like, I was like, what did I just hear? Like, it's the most stupidest. Like, I have a pet peeve with things. But when you say some stupid shit like that, that really gets to me. It's like, first of all, it's Patrick freaking Mahomes.
I bet you loved all the talk of Chiefs missing the playoffs because we didn't have Tyreek in there. And
yeah, that's been another big point too. It's like, first of all, look at the state of the AFC West. We saw the Chargers choke. I mean, the worst way possible you could ever see the Chargers choke.
How bad was that? Like this team went out, got players, Khalil Mack, got that cornerback, whatever it's from Patriots.
You got J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, J.C. Jackson. Thank you. They loaded up. They were healthy going in, and then Chargers decided to Charger, and it was.
I mean, there's. I was like, because my buddy Jake the Snake Hill was a diehard Chargers fan. Oh man, he gave me. It's funny because he called me. I think he called me right after the game, like just ranting and raving. Since and he probably said that that's a Dean Spanos thing. Spanos has never done much to really help that franchise. I mean, think about it. I mean,
he
drew Brees away, and like, look what happened when he went to New Orleans, win some of the Super Bowl.
Right, just going my buddy Rob Logan, big Chargers guy. I message him every now and then. I go, "Is it time?" And he goes, "It's time. It's time to fire Staley." And
the fact they still kept him
doing it. Yeah, they still kept him after all that, after the last 2 years.
I mean, first of all, you got rid of what? Joe Lombardi. I mean, hasn't really done really much offensively, but you got Kellen Moore. From a lot of times we saw in Dallas, not the greatest option, but let's see how that is. It's like
there might be a difference going from Dak to Justin Herbert. Too,
oh yeah.
Okay? Now it's going to be up to see what they do on the offensive side for weapons, right? So Keenan, if
there's been a lot of talks,
Gerald Everett, if he gets cut,
because they got no money.
No, it's all on the defense. That's too many bums letting up 900 yards and rushing every game.
Yeah, that's well, Broncos. We all already knew where they stood, and that was just a complete mess. And
hope you're ready for part 2 this next year.
We'll see. I really do think
I think it'll be better.
What did they finish like 4-13?
4-13, yeah. I think
I wouldn't be surprised they went 6-11 next season. I would not be.
Like I said, I didn't say it was be much better. I said it was going to be better going into play.
It's just, yeah. I mean, wow. It is hard to talk about the Broncos without just.
How long did it take you guys to just sit there and be like week after week, like there's no way they're this bad. You just couldn't.
Like when they brought in Nathaniel Hackett, it's like, oh, this is not going to be good.
Like I figured it. Like sure, whatever. They got base it off of him and let him go because he was the guy they need to let out. But it's like you're going through week 7 here, and you're like, oh, they're going against this offense. They should be able to take care of this. And it's like,
nope.
What is going on over there?
Not just in Denver. How about the Vegas Raiders? Boy, do I look stupid because I
had them going at least 10-7. And
they should have.
Oh my!
They should have. Disappointments all the way around the AFC.
First of all, you have Chandler Jones. You have all this talent, and yet you still shit the bed. Not to mention, too, you just brought in what the hell they brought in for the offensive coordinator?
McDaniels or
what the hell? I can't think of it.
I can't think of his name right now.
God,
But
Like, first of all, you should have kept. I told Raiders fans too. You should have just kept Bisaccia for crying out loud, and let him have his own coaching staff.
how about the implosion of Derek Carr at the very end? Right, you like made Devontae Adams look so great without Darren Waller and what's his face, the other receiver.
You also had Matt Collins. He's your third or fourth.
Yeah, you Matt Collins right there too. But you get both of your last two weapons right underneath Adams. You get them back for the last 3 games or 4 games, and there's a complete implosion. Like he doesn't even know where he's throwing it anymore. Right? It's not Adams anymore. It has to go to Waller or Renfro. Right? And he doesn't even know what to do. They don't even know what to do. How to use all those weapons on the offense. What an implosion.
And Patrick Graham has.
I feel like what happened and all this talk in the offseason, it stems from that because I feel like what happened was he just gave up. By that point, he just gave up. It wasn't that he didn't know what he was doing, or he didn't know what to do. It was that he just gave up. The season was already a wash. He just gave up.
This also stemmed to the fact there's been a lot of, rumors of him getting traded elsewhere. That's been going on for about a year and a half.
It's like you just gave the guy an extension 6 months ago.
Exactly. And the fact that they have no money. Think of this too. They decided to pay out the rest of Gruden's contract. They got no money whatsoever. You're letting Josh James probably going to potentially walk after having over 1,400 or was it 1,500 yards or something like that.
It was a career year, right, for him.
I think it was a breakout year with him, and they declined his 5th year, and they declined most of their man. You got rid of
all their draft picks from that draft class. They declined.
I thought the Chargers were bad with money, but I thought the Raiders are just the worst.
It's bad. Meanwhile, here's the Chiefs over here getting Juju and MVS and reloading up Justin Reed, losing Tyron. And it's like, all right, what are they doing different than you guys,
Exactly. And really worked out. But like I said, traded for Kadarius Toney. I know it was a bit of a risk for the Chiefs too, it was like a 50-50 gamble. So like what Kadarius Toney you're going to get. But the fact that, and the fact that his first touchdown with the Chiefs, man, I bet that really rubbed I said, man, I could imagine that's a bit of a shot towards the Giants, really just letting that man. But then again, though, this all stemmed to the fact that with us and Dallas made the trade in the draft to get Devontae Smith. That's kind of how we screwed the New York Giants out of that.
We basically tag teamed in that draft in 2020. We tag teamed to get Devontae to screw over the New York Giants.
And the next big thing is, and then the trade down for Kadarius Toney. It's like, good. But then again, they also still had Dave Gettleman at the time before.
That disaster.
Yeah, the whole Gettleman thing.
Joe Judge, the quarterback.
Or how about what was it? Was a quarterback sting on a 3rd and 13? It's like, what?
Yeah.
That made me go. That made me go. He needs to be fired right now.
That was
3rd and 13. You call a quarterback sneak.
So what I want to know, I want to ask Bill Belichick, because after that, it's like, what made you hire that guy back to your staff? And did you not just watch the whole entire previous year at all?
Or the same thing with Matt Patricia. Like, why would you have Matt Patricia be your offensive coordinator?
Well, yeah, that was a disaster. I mean, Bill was just trying. I think Bill was just trying to do stuff, and it's like,
I think Bill's lost it after the last 5 years.
I think Bill is more of like, yeah. I think more Bill is like panicky at this point. You lose Tom Brady, and it's just like, oh no, what do I do? And it's like,
now I got to replace him.
I got to replace the guy. This Mac Jones guy is kind of
big money, right? We can't pay big money to quarterbacks in the Patriot world, but we'll replace them.
Then they get Mac Jones. He looks like he's average, and now he's panicking like, oh no, what do I do?
And then he had this like quarterback thing with him and this Bailey Zappi the entire year. It's like, what the hell are we going on?
Why are we causing drama with your 2nd-year quarterback? Like, get over it. Pick one, and that's it.
Exactly. It's like
it was weird. It was like 1 week he was picking Jones, and he's picking Zappi the next week. Then he's picking Jones, and then he's picking Zappi again.
I'm like, a halftime deal, where they swapped, and it's like,
it's like, and both quarterbacks looked the same. Man.
Yeah, they looked the same, but man, Mac Jones, I thought Mac Jones would have just sat out the rest of the year. The way he looked after being taken out at half.
Yeah.
I thought he was done. I was waiting for the trade news or to be released or something. Because man, like I lost respect for Mac Jones early in the season, right? Because Bailey Zappi did look better. He really did when he was in,
Mhm.
right? And then I started, they put Mac Jones back in, but when I started seeing Mac Jones' passion come out, like yelling into the headset,
Yeah.
and like at Matt Patricia, and then on the sideline to Matt Patricia, look, you got my respect, baby. All I wanted to see was some emotion coming into play, and that brought me respect back to Mac Jones. And now I'm rooting for the guy. I'm like, hey, I hope Bill O'Brien, you don't have to do what you had to do last year, and I hope you excel at this now because that was bad. That's just not right.
That was just bad. Yeah. I mean, with Bill O'Brien, though, I mean, I've seen him work his magic with Bryce Young at the college level. Who's
Mhm.
to say? I mean, the dude's a court. If you could keep him as, and surprisingly too, I tell people this too, and then you'd be surprised. He's the only winningest head coach in the history of that Texans franchise with over a 500 record.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he had over 700 winning percentage. Just like it, then you had like Gary Kubiak was their second winningest. That's like, good lord. But that's a whole nother thing. But going
Yeah.
back to this, especially with the Super Bowl, man, it's been one hell of a year. Not for the two teams, but this entire season as general. Some teams, well, let's be real, have not been really have some good seasons, but just been a lot of some disappointments. Well, then again, that's no surprise to Jets fans. So sorry about that, because holy crap,
The hope, and then the crash.
or
Yep.
Titans fans too.
Oh man, what a letdown that was.
I mean, the fact that you've and first of all, it'll send to the fact after we traded for AJ Brown during draft day.
But here's what really shocked me: you go 6-1, and then 7-4, and then you just
And you actually it was 7-3, and you lose your 7 straight to finish 7-10, and choke the division away to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I thought
that's why I just said 6-1 and 7-4. I'm talking about like that record before they started deployment.
yeah,
They
it's
went
just
7-4, and then they just went.
So if you guys remember last year, right? I think they were the 1 seed last year, and they still ended up having like over 28 players in the IR last year. And then they had it again this year of like 28 guys injured, 30 guys injured. Look, you can only overcome injury for so long. Like they did a great job last year managing it. That doesn't mean you're going to do another great job this year managing those kind of injuries. And then with Tannehill being out, Malik Willis being nothing, looked like he's ready.
and he got Josh Dobbs picked off the street. It's like,
I mean,
ugh.
at least Dobbs looked like he gave you a chance. Malik Willis looked like he could barely even run the ball at that point.
Exactly. The dude just
It's just a bad news. Like they got rid of the GM, luckily, who gave up nothing for AJ Brown.
and the fact that it's the same game when he had AJ Brown almost had 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns dropped on your head, and you fire him like not even
the next day.
15. No, it was fired not even the next day. Like after the game, they actually fired him after the game was over.
That's right.
He was
like,
fired
man,
literally a minute after the game. He's fired.
I guarantee you, the owner's just looking at him like this, like just.
And Vrabel was pissed when that trade went down.
Just staring at him the whole entire time.
Your job.
And it's like, and I've always said this too. This is what happens when you don't have depth and good rotational pieces, like the Chiefs do. We got and we always told Dallas too. Stop trying to invest money in guys that don't deserve it.
Exactly. Stop it. Like, what are you doing?
Then again, that is Jerry Jones. So I mean, Jerry Jones is still stuck in his ways from the '90s, so it's really not surprising. But then again. And it's funny, too. I told people this, too. Even though we clown on Dallas for having the longest Super Bowl drought, we always like, just laugh at Washington. They have not won anything since 1991, if you think about it.
I mean, there's still teams out there that haven't won any.
Yeah. Great point. But, look at the Super Bowl, though. It's like, I feel like looking at the matchups, though, I think it's going to be somewhat even. Now, I will say, Tanner, let me ask you this. How's your run defense? I know your run defense has not been spectacular, to say the least.
In the past, it hasn't been the greatest, right? But this year, this year we're actually 8th best against rushing yards against.
I know your passing game is just you were like almost like not say bottom outside the top 20 in the in the pass
in
game.
the passing. So we're 18th. We're middle of the pack, right?
Okay.
For that. So
because I've seen someone rank you guys at 22nd out of.
So it seems like if you watch the games and as close as these games are, it seems like our defense sucks, but they really don't. It's just bad, just opportunities that are missed.
It's just like miscommunication on all ends.
But now I think throughout the last 5 games of the season, right, when we kind of had more of a cakewalk, essentially for that last finally some easy games going into the last end of the season after our stretch. But now you're working on rotations, you're working on depth, guys, you're getting them involved here. So now Spags has the ability to bring in certain guys in certain situations for certain packages now. And I think that's been a key. Like Brandon Williams, Colin Sanders, and that D-line part. Like sometimes you won't even see Chris Jones on the field or Frank Clark, which is huge. But I think I was talking about this last night too, that the rushing defense is going to be huge. And if you guys get out and block Nick Bolton, essentially our leading tackler for linebacker, he's the one who like crushed Derrick Henry last year. Is awesome. But, it's going to be up to the rookie Chenal from Wisconsin to get out there and essentially be the guy to take down Sanders, Scott, Gainwell, and Hurts. It's going to be able to help control. You need a second person to control this run game when they hit that second level. And that's where I think Ricky Chenal is going to have to come into play.
Because it's like, I mean, look at and like going back to the 49ers game, you really looked at it like, we like, even when the 49ers played the Dallas, I mean, they had it like, because we seen where the 49ers, like, look, they're a good team regardless of what happened. But their defense, though, people will say, oh, it's not impenetrable as people may think. We've seen at times get part of their defense get exposed, especially in the passing game. Matt Lenar, not bad. It wasn't terrible, but just that dude just gets less of too many goddamn yards. I mean, it's like, and like you said, I mean, if one guy can, and we seen, Nick Bosa get shut down, and that entire defense, that front four, the 49ers couldn't do anything without Nick Bosa.
Well, you got to remember too, right? I mean, taking their final quarterback with Purdy, effective quarterback out, like that. When you're doing 3 and outs the whole entire time and giving up turnovers, that defense exhausted, right? That defense, you're just asking for points to be let up then. So,
and
we see that throughout the whole NFL season with guys with turnovers and time of possession.
We just and I've always said this too, like. We just broke him mentally, and that's where you saw where frustrations kind of flared with Trent Williams. Just did what he need, just kind of just yank cave on Wilson. I mean
that was a body slam.
Yeah, but still, like I said, most of these fouls that we seen, like almost like the latter part of the fourth quarter against us in the 49ers were frustrations, like because they knew And like you said, we kept them on the field longer than what they expected. And plus, they'd never seen a team, a better defense because we were the number 2 defense in the league behind the 49ers. I think, what do you guys, 8th over? No.
We're, I'll tell you here, So if we're looking at points per game, we're 16th, 11th. So we're
kind of middle of the pack
range, like not quite the back half, but definitely in the middle of the pack. So for it defense wise.
But yeah, it's just like, looking at this game in general, like you said, if one guy can't get it done, like you're asking for problems. I mean,
you guys saw with Russell Wilson too, right? The Denver Broncos, when the defense came over and yelled at Russell.
Yeah.
Stop get your job, do your job, and that's what it does. Like San Francisco, I know there's a stream out or a video out there. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I saw it pop up on my Twitter. And it was essentially how some of the 49ers guys were mic'd and they were like, they saw Purdy go down. They're like, crap, we're done. Like, what do we do?
Like they were just so deflated. It's like, oh boy.
It's going to be a long day when your quarterback goes down, and it's going to be tough, man.
It really is. I mean, and it's like with us, I mean, I don't know exactly I don't know offensive line wise. I mean, what do you have? Like, I know you had Orlando Brown Jr. I know even though I've seen moments where he just doesn't really look good. You know, it's
He's
like
part of our weakness, definitely. Like this is a guy trying to get a monster contract going in the offseason.
yeah, like I've seen Chiefs fans kind of just rip him to shreds.
Oh man, he. By the way, he was the reason why Mahomes got that high ankle sprain that Jacksonville game,
Oh
because he
yeah,
led up the guy to come back into play. He has not performed the best at all. Like our interior are monsters, right? Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. Those guys knock people. Like they're good. It's the outsides, right? Andrew Wiley on the right hand side of the right tackle, and then Brown on the left hand side, and it's. Look, those are the weakness, and that's the scary part. Is you got a Mahomes who's probably 90% now, maybe 85, 90%, but all it takes is, you guys know this, right? It takes one bad movement, one bad hit, and
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like like I said, with your outside being your weakness. I mean, you got Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat on both on the outside coming right at you. I mean,
They go hard and they perform really well, really well.
I mean, the fact that you could have had like a 4-way race for defensive player of the year, but like I mentioned before, that's just they never give us any credit because I mean, no matter how well our players play, it is what it is. We thrive off people talking shit and shit like that. But I've always gave the Chiefs where credit's due. Now, when I was it was just very, like I said, going to that 49ers game, it was very, like I said, very unfortunate that Brock Purdy had the tore his UCL. I told people this too. High ankle sprain, that shit is no joke. When you roll your ankle or just
out the next week or play the rest of the game and then come out the next week to play a really tough game against a Bengals team that's beaten you.
And you're like, what, 75, 80% healthy? And I could imagine his ankle, I think couldn't imagine how much pain he was in probably at the end of the night. It's like, sheesh.
Well, heck, and then he got that late hit on the sideline, right?
That was kind of unnecessary.
I mean, that all it took was the extension of the arm, and so that.
And first of all, I'm thinking that's an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah, and I'm like, but at the same time, it's the guy's dedication to the game, right?
Yeah,
like you saw his emotion in the Jacksonville game, throwing the coat down because Reed made him go get X-rayed, checked out.
I mean, it's shit. I mean, the dude's a competitor, and I love it. I mean, and I loved him when he was at Texas Tech. I mean, it's just crazy.
Fiery passion, dude. And just like Jalen Hurts is the same way, right? A Bama guy gets benched, ends up transferring.
And the reason why, because Saban told us, if you don't improve as a passer, then you're done. And he took that seriously. He went to Oklahoma, and with Lincoln Riley, probably put up the best passing numbers he's had, and unfortunately, was a second rounder. Now it's funny because I was one of many of Eagles fans was very skeptical of it because it's like, oh, you got Carson Wentz and stuff like that. But ever since when he, had that, like I would say, a drama queen face, I guess we could say, and just that kind of where everything ever stood here, and it took Hurts, even though we had to go through different coaching staffs to do it, but having a guy like Nick Sirianni, who originally I was very skeptical of it, but seeing how another guy that's been very passionate and fiery, and has really showed the spirit of Philadelphia, and it is how it is.
I mean, you guys kind of have for a Philadelphia team, right? That's kind of the perfect chemistry. You got a guy that's, when he was brought in the head coach, talking about being dogs and all that. Well, you got the right pieces around it, right? A.J. Brown coming into play, Devontae Smith coming to Alabama, Jalen Hurts, who's always been looked down upon. I mean, these are guys that you want to basically have something to prove in that play. AJ Brown, especially, right? Having injury history throughout Tennessee days, and always was questionable at best at some it seems like some seasons with him. So now that he came in full season, looked tremendous, looked like a healthy guy, and played really hard out. Jalen Hurts just killing it. And Miles Sanders had tons of backlash as a running back. No touchdowns last year. No touchdowns last year. What does he do? Touchdown central.
Not just that too, and we put up our first 1,000-yard running back since since Shady in 2014.
Like how huge is that? A guy that people already left for dead after last year.
Yeah, very.
I thought you were 5 for 5, but I know you don't want that. So
Austin Scott, Kenneth Gainwell coming into play. That offensive line, like tons of stuff, like tons of guys proving stuff. And that's exactly what this Philadelphia team needed. So, So yeah, it's pretty insane for you guys right now for Philly. Just
For
for
sure.
your chemistry, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, so the last thing I want to kind of go over, score prediction wise, because I know mostly it's been very even. I've always said, you know, if everything goes like plays out evenly, because the only issue is with the outside on your offensive line. I always said like 37-20, or actually I said 34-27 because I feel like it's going to come down to at least a one score or less. The way that how these both teams are matched up, just in terms of, you know, who wants it more. I think that's what's going to come down to. For me, I've always said 34-20 or 34-27. Eagles for taking this. It's just like it's like I don't think I think the Chiefs are are talented as well not to blow them out because they were going to find a way to be scrappy. So that's my score predictions: 34-27.
This is going to come down to if we can contain Patrick Mahomes, and if we can get to him, I could see that. I could see that we win this one 35-28.
So you guys got the over too in points. 50.5 the over. So I think it's going to be the under. I think we're going to see we'll see dynamic plays, but I think we're going to see some of this, you know, the defense we've seen all year for both teams shut teams down, the offenses down at certain times. So I'm going to take the under here in the 50.5, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw it out there here. 24-21. I'm going to go Chiefs. And I think it comes down to the last minute drive, and Harrison Butker
makes sense.
43-yarder for the game winner. I like him out. I like him past 40, so I don't like the within 40. I like him after 40. So.
Kind of be that Justin Tucker kind of range.
Exactly. Like Butker's more solid when it comes with between 40 and 60 than he is with 40 and 20.
But yeah, well, like I said, you know, best luck to Sunday, and I'm excited as well, man. It's just like because we originally thought, you know, who would have thought us back in 5? Because like no one that says like the Chiefs are going to go back into it. Because I've always had that feeling. Because I think, you know, I feel like the Bengals, despite with that slow, if they didn't have that slow start the regular season, I think it could have been us in Cincinnati. Because it wasn't that for that slow start with Cincinnati. But regardless, you know, Chiefs still found ways to win. Now, granted, the one thing I've nitpicked on is like the fact y'all shit the bed in my weekly pick. I was like, fuck it. I was like, against the Colts.
Is that spread pick'ems or what?
Because we do ESPN pick'ems. Like we yeah. So it's like I picked the Chiefs over the Colts. What happens? Colts sounds like, oh.
Hey, you can thank Chris Jones for that one. You know, he was talking and defending refs. You know, we would have won that game.
Well, outside of that, though, Tanner, man, best of luck to y'all in the Super Bowl.
You were fun. You guys.
But with that being said,
let's have a good football game.
Absolutely. Let's wait till Sunday.
I hope it's like what we said it was